Hey Mustangs, happy December. We're back with another podcast. I'm Amin.
And I'm Mariah.
And this month we have a special guest here with us, Drea.
Hello.
So Drea's going to be on here talking about current events, and she's also a member of the Feminist Club. So she's going to be talking about some women's issues that have been rising throughout the month and just adding in her thoughts and opinions on things that have been happening. So one of the first things that happened this month that we want to talk about is the sexual harassment scandal that's been growing throughout various industries, prevalently in entertainment industries, like in Hollywood and in the music industry now with Russell Simmons, who recently resigned. And so that's been a very large scandal. The women have even been named Time Magazine's People of the Year, which is a huge honor and a huge step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much controversy going on over this issue because it seems like every time you turn on your computer or open a magazine, there's someone who's being accused of sexual harassment, and there's also those same people who are standing up against what is happening. Like how we said previously in last month's podcast, these people are opening up the doors for others to be able to step forward about what's happened to them. So this is really a great thing. But of course, because of this controversy, there's been a lot of division in Hollywood and different outlets, even the sports industry. There's different people still coming out there. And I feel like we've always known about the casting couch and different areas, but this has brought it to another level where we can really see the effect that it's having on these people, not just women, but men as well. And it's a step forward, but it's also sad to see where we are right now.
And it's been prevalent even in politics, especially with the congressional election in Alabama with Roy Moore, who has been not convicted, but he's an alleged child molester, to put it in respectful words. So it is an issue that's prevalent in every facet of life, and hopefully it makes things safer for other women going into these industries, and moving forward we're going to be moving in a more positive direction. But there are definitely still lots of issues day to day that often are overlooked that maybe won't be anymore. And I think Drea has some things to talk about, especially in regards to women's issues.
I think with the sexual harassment cases that it's really crazy that when you think that America as a country has taken 2 steps forward, we've taken 5 steps back. And it's people are so afraid to come forward and talk about what they're going through, but these women who have come forward have really, I feel have really set the tone and have made it this is okay to step forward and tell your story no matter the backlash. And it's crazy just to see not only them coming forward, but all of the people who are they're lying. I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter, but there was a video about they were doing an interview of people who voted for Roy Moore in Alabama, and there were people saying back in the day there would be moms and dads happy for their little girls getting hit on by this man because he was a prosecutor or whatever. And it's just to think that America thought that way at one point in time, and that they still are thinking about it like that, it's scary, especially just knowing that a lot of these women, some of them in the music and entertainment industry have become successful, and it's hard to think have they become successful because of what was done to them or because of their actual talent, stuff like that. Just it's pretty scary out there.
Yeah, that's really deep. It's something for us definitely to think about and discuss. Something else that I think was interesting that was brought up in the process of writing the article about sexual harassment is, do we as the consumers, as the people watching these movies, as the people watching these TV shows, supporting these players and games, do we have the responsibility to turn off the TV or to stop watching these movies? Or is there a respect for their work that we might have, even if we don't have that same respect for the people who are making them? What do you guys think about that?
I think in terms of like, because it's been a lot of like the producers and things that have been accused of these acts, and I feel like we have to take a stand, but I don't think that it's fair for us to like not watch, because that's other people's
Right.
livelihoods. Like the actors and actresses that are stepping forward, that's their business too. Like if we stopped watching, that would play with their money, and I feel like that would be punishing them for coming forward. But like we should do something that would directly influence the
Right.
accused. Yeah, the accused. I was like, is that the right?
No, theoretically, I think that people protesting by boycotting these movies and these actors or producers' work is something that is powerful. But in reality, I honestly don't think that it's going to be something that will inspire change. And it is a personal thing. If you choose not to watch a movie because of something that's an allegation that's come out recently, then more power to you. And I think that's something that, like, personally is something that could be empowering. I know that a lot of people are going to have a hard time, like, not watching certain movies because they love them and they grew up with them. So it's hard to say, to make someone choose. But I do think that with these allegations coming out now, it's powerful in that you can never really watch a movie with the same person the same way. And that you'll probably always be reminded that there was something going on behind the scenes that you didn't know about. So maybe it will be powerful if you do watch the movies to be reminded that you know, there's these things happen.
Yeah, we
Like
always
it would
remember.
change your perspective on the movie as a whole.
Yeah. And that's interesting too, because along with like Time magazine, like these Women of the Year too, or these People of the Year, but that they're women, that's pretty awesome. But there's been like controversy over who was chosen to be on that cover, and I think that's kind of sad, because really that's just like more division or like divide between people that we don't need to have. Everyone has stepped forward on the cover, and I think that's something we need to celebrate and not pick at why or who or how, or like, you know, what it means for them to step forward. It's just they did, and I think that's a step forward for all of us.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Every woman that has spoken out about these things or these allegations, it deserves just as much recognition as anyone else.
So that's a good transition into some exciting news that I know me and Amin are pumped about. The royal engagement, like, that's pretty awesome.
I think we get very excited about it because we're not from England. I'm sure people in England do not care at all about this. For some reason, me and Mariah think it's, we get pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
And we get especially excited about it this year because it's Meghan Markle, who's engaged to Prince Harry, who is a half-black woman from America.
Who's divorced.
Right.
Who is very different from anyone else we've ever seen.
This
Breaking
quote
the royal line.
from the New York Times really like sums it up. It's like, a divorced mixed race Hollywood actress who attended a Roman Catholic school is to marry the son of the next king. Such a sentence simply could not have been written a generation ago.
I think that's pretty cool, and
It's so cool.
I support this marriage 100%.
I do too. I feel like, especially because like being an African American, it's so cool to see that someone who, even though like she's black, like she's half black, but like back in the day, she would have just been
Thank you.
considered.
That's something
Thank you.
very interesting. Because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, she's half black."
She's gotten backlash.
I don't think.
But
that's,
like, if we were back in the Jim Crow days, if
Right.
we had
The
1%
one drop rule.
black,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
1%
rule.
rule, like she would have been considered black.
Exactly.
So she's black. Like, but it's so cool because it's like a real live Princess Tiana. Like, that's what I was thinking. I was talking to my mom about it, and it was just like, Mom, one, she's black. Two,
Yeah.
she's divorced. Like, that's not in that royal.
Yeah.
That whole,
That's a
like,
problem for them.
yeah, but it's so cool, and I just love love.
Yeah.
And they just seem so happy. Like the interviews on Twitter and stuff are just, it's so, to see them smile
I know.
and that like
Yeah.
look that they get when they look at each other, it's just like, that's what I want.
Yeah, it's really like, when I first saw like the backlash coming out against it, I was like low-key offended because
chill
it's
out.
so, like, they're like, oh, she identifies with white because of like how she acts or like what she does, and it's like, that's not what it's even about. And as a mixed race person myself, like, I really identify with her, and that like you don't have to choose, like, you know, you can accept both parts of like your culture and your heritage and not have to choose one over the other, or
or just be one, or just
right, or just be one. Like, you don't have to choose. You can be both.
And I think it is a nice bit of positive news to come out it's been a rough year.
Right.
And it's not a serious topic. It's something lighthearted, but it's something that's important to talk about, celebrating the good as well as, talking about the bad. And yeah, just like Drea said, the love. It's
the
nice.
love is
the
just
love.
the love,
see.
especially
The love.
in like the world today when everybody just seems like they're so angry with one another and want to hurt each other. But stories like this, when it's just like pure and true, it's good to see. It like gives a beam of hope.
And even being an actress is kind of crazy too, because there's things that you do when you're acting that that are not very princess-like. And so it's like, no, it's really funny and interesting because like they've never done this. Like it's such a new territory for like the royal family.
No one
like,
knows how to deal.
No
with
one knows
it.
how to handle.
So it's like they're writing their own rules right now.
Yeah,
It's even cooler.
It's so cool. They're
She was
writing a
really
new
good
chapter.
actress.
Yeah.
It was
They're writing a new
Suits,
chapter.
right?
Yeah,
Suits.
She was in the show.
That was my
Suits.
show. Me and my mom used to watch it.
Yeah, my family loves that show.
Such a good show.
We even related it in the article to Obama's presidency and like the backlash that was like followed because of his race. Like some people did the same thing, like, oh, he's not black enough or he's not white enough, and that's
It's a silly argument.
it's a silly argument.
It's really frustrating, like, when people make you choose.
Right.
It's like, why? There's no point in choosing. It's just, we're all people. At the end of the day, when we die and decompose, it's going to be bones. Everybody's bones look like bones.
Yeah.
There's really, I feel like the difference
We all
in
bleed the same
separation.
color.
Yeah, everybody bleeds red. But it's like the difference in separation that everybody's trying to make is really unnecessary and frustrating just to see.
Yeah. Well, moving forward into our favorite parts of the month, the entertainment segment.
It's my favorite thing to talk about ever. So this month, we had break during this month, so I had a lot of time to spend doing things, and most of my break was spent watching this TV show called Poldark,
Yeah.
which Mariah mentioned last month in her favorites, and totally inspired me to watch the show, and I became obsessed with it. I mean, Mariah perfectly convinced me to watch it because it's historical drama, but there's romance and there's action, and it's a beautifully shot TV show. So this is just proof that listening to our recommendations, you might actually find something that you really like.
True. So for me, I spent my break pretty much reading. The book that I was really focused on was The Handmaid's Tale, and this is a feminist satire dystopian, basically about a world where men control women. And it kind of shows because it's the women's only purpose was to have children, and it was really great because at some points in the novel you weren't sure if you were looking at the past or looking forward to the future, and so it's hard to take because there's a lot of things that happen in there that it's tragic and just dark, but it really shows you a glimpse of where we could be heading in the future if we don't pay attention. So it's one of those friendly, not so friendly, gentle reminders watch out because there could be dark things. But it's a very good novel. Totally read.
One of my music favorites of the month, I know last month I had mentioned an album by Vampire Weekend, and I didn't talk about it in the podcast, but this month I'm also recommending another album by Vampire Weekend because they are simply one of my favorite bands ever. They're unlike any other band, I think, of this generation. They're extremely innovative and creative. Their music is inspired. They're a band, so they have guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, but they don't make rock and roll music, which I think is very interesting. It's rock inspired, but it's very global. They have African beats and very interesting classical composition. And I think if you want to start listening to other genres, listen to Vampire Weekend because you'll find things in there that you'll really like and connect to. And then one last recommendation is the movie Lady Bird, which has been getting a lot of buzz around it, and it's very well deserved. It's written and directed by Greta Gerwig, who is from this area. She's from Sacramento. And the movie Lady Bird takes place in Sacramento, so it's extremely relatable in that aspect, but also because it tells the story of a 17-year-old high school senior who's about to start college. So if you are a 17-year-old senior who's about to start college,
Like us, like all three of us.
it is something that you will connect with like pretty much immediately. And it's a lot about her relationship with her mother, which is obviously something we can all relate to too.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautifully shot film. Lots of great actors, great performances. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, also over break, something else that I was really into, I like to read scripts along with the novels that I read. So I read The Laramie Project. So I haven't gotten the chance to see it like actually performed yet, but I am looking for shows if you see it around. But yeah, so The Laramie Project is actually, it's nonfiction. It tells the story of Matthew Shepard, a gay student from the University of Wyoming, and he was attacked brutally and actually killed. And so the play kind of reminds me of a modern-day Our Town, because like after you're done reading it, it kind of, you can't help but reflect and wonder, like, is this my town? Like, is this how people around me think? Do I take a part in this community's blindness and hatred towards any group of people? And like, is ignorance just a reflection of how the event began to take place? So there's really like thought-provoking questions, and it's a play that leaves you thinking. My last recommendation that I'm going to highlight on the podcast is actually a single song off a very popular album, Prince's Purple Rain album. It's like, how can you not like know about it? But I mean, if you're not into like that kind of music, then maybe like look into it, because you never know, like, dig into your parents' old CDs. The song that I want to highlight is The Beautiful Ones, because it's not like one of like the top hits off the album, but it's really interesting because like I was talking to like my sister about it. I was like, if I were to have the soundtrack of my life, this would definitely be on it. And she was like, what? The lyrics don't even like apply. And I was like, no, it's not the lyrics themselves, it's the feeling behind them, like the feeling of the song. It's like one of those, like, it's like right before the climax, like it's just building up, like you can't wait, like something's about to happen, and this song is right before it happens. And so yeah, that's why I love the song, so check it out.
Drea?
So over break, I was really, really late. I didn't listen to people, but I actually started to get into Riverdale, and I really, really enjoyed it. I finished the season in like 2 days, but I didn't know where to find season 2. So if anybody knows, can you let me know? But I was very hesitant on watching it because I'm not a fan of murder mysteries. I get scared very, very easily. So I was like, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to have nightmares. But it was actually a really, really interesting show, and for me, it was like eye-opening. Like, what if this were to happen in like Fairfield? Like, this is crazy. And it was really interesting. And for music, one of my favorite artists right now, and for like a year and a half now, has been Kehlani. And she's just, the way that she's been through so much, and the way that she carries herself, and the way that she inspires young people is just like crazy to me. Her music really, it pumps me up. Like, it's what I listen to in the car before going to practice, or like what I listen to while doing homework. And it's really inspiring. But books, I don't really read.
No, I find like music artists that you love often, like, lyrically, they're almost like books themselves.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
That was
it's
deep.
very
Go on,
true.
man.
I mean, I'm going to go on a tangent about Vampire Weekend, but Ezra Koenig, who is the lead singer of Vampire Weekend, who I have a huge crush on, he writes the lyrics for his songs, and like the lyrics, they speak volumes, like more than even sometimes the music itself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Music that you love is very powerful.
That's why actually, like, the song I was talking about, The Beautiful One, surprised me, because I'm huge on lyrics, like, more than like the music itself. I don't know, it's like, it's poetry, really. It's just, it's great. But sometimes, like, I love how like the music can take you past that. Like, they're like levels of greatness. Like, you know, you got the lyrics, great, but the music can take those lyrics to the next level, and how they're like presented, kind of like plays. That's kind of what I like about them. Like, the lines, like, they're there, like, they're the meat, but like you take it past that point, like you bring it to the next level by changing the way that it's said. And it's just, Wow. Art. Wow.
I'm really into art.
Yeah.
Me and Mariah could do this forever. So that's pretty much everything we've been going over for the last month as far as articles we've written and things we've discussed. I know there's a lot more ahead of us, especially today with net neutrality. So this is just, we're getting this knowledge right now as we speak that the FCC has voted to repeal net neutrality. We don't know what this is going to mean. But it's something we're going to find out very soon.
Yeah. So that's a great note to leave the podcast on.
I mean,
I feel like us as seniors in high school, if this fully goes through, this is definitely going to change our freshman year of college. And I feel like this is going to be something that, like, this story and how it's playing out is definitely going to be something that I tell my kids about. Like, Molly was in senior year in high school and they took away the internet. Like, so it's just, and I feel like there's benefits, sort of, like we're gonna have to start actually interacting with each other. Like, we can't just Snapchat each other all day or tweet each other. We're gonna have to actually talk to one another. But I feel like libraries are gonna need to update their books. Like,
there's going to
basically.
be a lot of implications with this ruling. I'm not sure what the extent will be at this point. There's going to be, I mean, as of right now, I've heard of like dozens of lawsuits that have been threatening the FCC. So
Earlier, I heard that there was a bomb threat at the.
It's just a rush of
It's a
information.
rush.
Yeah.
We are
Because
getting this information
it's
right
happening
now.
right now, it's happening live, so everyone is like trying to come out and be first about these new like dealings that are happening with it today, and so it's just a lot. Like, you can't really even tell what's true, what's
Yeah.
happening. Like, you kind of really have to be careful about your sources. Like, off of Twitter, like a lot of people are like showing
yeah.
things like, oh, this is happening, or like this is going on Twitter. We have no idea if it's really true, so we just have to
We take it one day at a time. Figure out what's real, figure out what's not, and then move forward. And if all else fails, just read a book, listen to some music.
Right. There's always our entertainment picks. If you're feeling
Exactly.
like lost and you're like, what do I do right now? Just open up our
Open up our
Find a good book.
December favorites and
listen to your favorite artist.
yep,
Watch a good movie.
Take a
get
nap.
ready for finals.
Take a nap. Everybody deserves a nap.
Yes. Well, I hope you guys, if you're listening to this before finals, have a good finals.
Yep.
Good luck. Have a great break, and then we'll see you in.
We'll see you in 2018. See you next year. I love saying that.
Bye.